Now, the stuff of science, the time and space, that's what we can deal with. And time, for example, as Einstein showed us, is time is the movement of objects in space. If there's no movement, there's no time. Or, as Plato put it, time is but the moving image of eternity. Beautifully put. So, time and space are the realm of our everyday mind in our culture and most cultures now. But we need to understand what's meant by eternity, and it's not endless time. It's somehow being outside of, being timeless, being in a timeless zone. And the same with infinity. So what the center is dealing, the center we're looking for is a center accessible to consciousness, full consciousness. And I think of Black Elk's vision, where he found himself at the center of the world, but realized, but the center is everywhere, wherever there's full consciousness. We're all capable of getting there. This is the center we're looking for, the center of it all. But it's a function of full consciousness. Now, I have gods and goddesses listed here because if we're not dealing with the one source of all, by whatever name, we're in the realm of psychology. And psychology is within the purview of science. So when a peacemaker refers, if, for example, Gandhi refers to God, he was from the Hindu tradition. He's referring to Brahman, the one without a second. Well, that's close enough to the one source of all. In the ancient Chinese, it would be the Tao. The Tao is the one source of all. In ancient Hebrew, at one time it was the nameless one, which was the one source of all. Nameless because whenever we give a term like God, we tend to, our minds make it a thing. This is the realm of things. This larger circle includes no thingness. You can't get a handle on it. The one source of all transcends all things, though is part and parcel and part of the creation of all things. It's part of their welling up. It's the one source of all is like the solid background from which all things can show up. Is a way to look at it. Now, the problem with the thinking here is you've only got half your brain power. You've got, you're using left brain primarily, almost totally here. And that's, we'll come to see with the presentation of the metaphor. This is how we got to where we're at with the violence and craziness. We need the larger vision. We need total, full consciousness that sees things whole. Now, interestingly, in the wisdom with the wisdom embedded in our language, there are a group of words, and I'm not being exhaustive here, But words like meter, measure, matter, maya, magic, all share the same root. They're tied together. They all fit here. That's the stuff of science. You can tell right off. Why is Maya in the same group of words? It's a Hindu term for illusory appearance. And we know magic. Magic, that's tricky stuff, right? Why is that in with science, the stuff of science? Because you only have half the picture of reality. You're stuck with half the picture. It distorts your vision and your understanding. It's the spiritual that brings everything together. It includes all the truths, the lowercase truths of science and the world that we see, and gives it the meaning and value that is part and parcel of the unseen. Now, it's interesting that the language of science and of our ego minds is masculine. The language and the methods of getting to the center that we want to get to are feminine. So I've got up here yin and yang. That's the Chinese, the two fish. Yin is always black. Yang is white. Yin is always presented first. Yang second, because yin, or the feminine, is primary. It's from the larger circle. Yang is secondary. Now, think of yin and yang. One way of thinking of it is the energy of the universe, for all wisdom traditions, is about negative and positive. And in electricity, anywhere along a circuit, you have negative and positive. Wherever you cut it, one implies the other. They're always together. One of the symbols from the ancient Hebrew sums it up beautifully. This is the symbol for feminine and by association female. And this is the ancient Hebrew symbol for male, the masculine, the positive. How do you tell them apart? That's interesting. It is so clever because the inline of the feminine is the outline of the masculine. That's how integrated the negative and positive forces of energy and the world and of each other, these principles. Now, why do females get associated with the feminine, the negative? Because this is the realm in the larger picture that gives birth to everything here. So it's the womb principle. That's why it's concave. You don't have, if you go back to the ancient Hebrew, unlike probably what I was taught anyway, you don't have an Adam without Eve. And this is not the rib. This is a miscalculation of the symbol for male and female. This realm gives birth to this realm. Okay, so it's kind of the opposite of the way we normally think. We give all the weight to the masculine and denigrate the feminine. That's part of the problem of how we get to violence instead of the peace that we ought to be experiencing.